What's up guys? Conrad here with another video, and it's been a while since I last spoke in front of the camera. Mainly because I didn't feel I have had that much anything to talk about really, but now I think I do, so let's get to it. So the topic of discussion is lust versus love. So what's the difference? Now some people think they're pretty much of the same thing. But I think it's important to be able to differentiate between the two so that we can finally live life with a little less confusion. These are just my own personal ideas on this topic, and so I'm not claiming this to be the ultimate truth or anything, so this is just my perspective. So, in biblical and metaphorical terms, you could say that love is of God and lust is of the devil. Now, you don't have to take this too literally, but this can be a more simplistic way of looking at it. Love is giving, selfless. Lust is taking and selfish. Love is concerned with compassion for others. Lust is concerned with one's own pleasure. Love is of our higher self, the spirit. Lust is of our lower, more carnal nature, the flesh. Love is rooted in tradition and order. Lust is of a chaotic nature that prioritizes excitement and spontaneity. Love is being connected with someone's character and morals. Lust is being obsessed with someone's physical beauty and sensuality, and the desire to attain it. Love is about family, respect, community. It goes deep. Lust is about ego, validation, pleasure. It's superficial. Now, love should ideally bring lasting fulfillment. Lust gives one temporary validation, disguised as fulfillment. It boosts the ego, but doesn't elevate the soul. Lust is cheap, easy to fall into and get out of. Love is hard. It takes work and commitment. Now one could say that love is just a figment of our imagination and is only true in fairy tales. And lust is simply just chemicals in our brains driving us to reproduce. There is no right or wrong, it's just the way things are. This is nature. And so this is a very secular and rational way of looking at it. But I think it's beneficial to look at this from a more spiritual perspective. And so as I've gotten older, I tend to see the world in a somewhat deeper way that is ever so slightly less rooted within just pure logic. I believe there's a lot more going on beneath the surface. Now I'd say that love and lust, I would see love and lust as two different spiritual entities which affect your soul in different ways. Love elevates, it brings you to a higher state of consciousness, and lust drags you down to a more primal state, making you a slave to your desires, making you a perpetual addict with no sense of direction or conclusion. And I'm not saying I'm above any of this, by the way. I'd argue that love is more powerful than lust, but all in all, they are two sides of the same coin. They both inhabit different energies, that is, of light and dark. So, should we pursue love or lust head on? Well, ideally not. Ideally, you should be focused on your purpose. But most people nowadays are going to fall somewhere in between the boundaries of love and lust, sort of casually dating, adhering to individualism. Some people are trying to handle this conflict between love and lust by getting into more open relationships and polyamory, which hardly work in the long run as they are of lust and not rooted with any sense of core value. And someone always ends up getting hurt or jealous. This is a very modern kind of way of trying to deal with these things, because we realize that humans are very complex and contradictory. And we may think we are one way, but deep inside we might want something else. We want to live with a higher purpose. But sometimes the temptations of the world are just too strong. In my opinion, love and the streets don't really mix. In today's dating culture, you got to have a sense of emotional maturity and resilience. Should you be cold? Well, you got to be strong, that's for sure. It's not like in the old days where you can be like, oh, I like you. You like me? Well, let's get married. Why not? That sounds like a great idea. Because it feels so right. That kind of spontaneity, maybe romantic in the movies, but in real life, in many cases, it's a recipe for disaster. Relationships are replaced by situationships. If you develop feelings for someone you know to be, shall we say, very promiscuous, then it's probably better to listen to your logic in this case. Maybe not in all cases, but you need to be aware. Love in the modern world is rather rare, and you don't want to get led down a dark path. But, all of this is easier said than done. We must learn from the past and from other people's stories. You can either choose to be the seducer, i.e. the snake, or the warrior, i.e. the lion. I mean, you think Chris Hemsworth had to make that much of an effort to seduce Elsa Pataki or snake his way into a relationship with her? I mean, I doubt it. I mean, I guess the ideal way, you could say, is you just connect with someone and that's it. And that's what most people would like, rather than playing a tactical game in order to get what you want for your own benefit. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. There are different levels to this, different variables, and it all depends on the situation. Now let's talk about what kind of environments resonate with love and lust. And I suppose a good question to ask is, what kind of environment do you ideally see yourself inhabiting? So with love, you picture the family home, the countryside, nice traditional small town or village with a sense of community, the church. Now, what environments come to mind when you think of lust? Usually think of an urban city, usually at night, nightclubs, strip clubs, red light districts, dodgy raves, house parties, more low vibrational environments. It's easy to feel what kind of spirit runs stronger within that environment. In the nightclub, it's definitely not of love or compassion. It's definitely of lust. Are you kidding me? I mean, you're gonna really try and look for love in a nightclub? Then you obviously had way too much to drink. And vice versa. If you're of the spirit of lust and you're going to an old town in the countryside with some pleasant, nice botanic gardens or art galleries filled with families, children, thinking, yeah, this is boring. Where the hoes at? I mean, it's just a completely different atmosphere. So now we have an idea of the difference between lust and love. And now the question is, which path would you rather walk? Perhaps you're not all that fussed about any of this and, you have other things to worry about. Fair enough. So, do you want a family? Do you want to play the game and be more enthralled with the thrills? You want to live the way of the snake or the lion? Take some time to think about it. And thank you very much for watching.